Welcome to the lesson on creating charts and plots in Swift Calcs. Swift Calcs has a built-in plotting tool to create interactive visual charts and plots from functions and data. To access the plot tools, you can drag any of the tools under the Plots and Charts area in the toolbox onto your worksheet. Alternatively, from Math mode, you can use the keyboard shortcut Plot followed by a spacebar to add the plot type to your worksheet. Note that no matter what plot type you add, you can change the type using the pull-down menu. We will walk through each type of plot in turn. Function plots take an expression based on an independent parameter and returns the dependent values for a range of the independent values. For example, we can plot x squared times cosine x, and the plot will generate the y values for this expression for x ranging from -5 to 5. We can also create plots of different variables. For example, instead of x squared cosine x, we can type t cubed times the sine of t over 2, and plot it as a function of t. When read aloud, the plot now says, plot t cubed sine t over 2 as a function of t. If our expression to plot requires units, for example, if we wanted to plot y of t from the expression defined above, we can click the Add x-axis units link and add the unit we wish to utilize. Here, t is in units of time, so we will set it to seconds. Once a plot is created, the plot inputs are automatically hidden from view. We can show them again by clicking the 3 vertical dots above the plot. We can update the plot styling directly by clicking on the plot. Here, we don't really care about negative time, so by clicking on the x-axis, we can now set the x-minimum to 0. We can also increase the x-maximum. Here we'll use 7, and add a label, time. For the y-axis, let's add a label, height, some grid lines, and perhaps we want to see the height in feet instead of meters. If we want to change the label of the data in the legend, we can do so by clicking to expand, and where it says with label, changing the name. Finally, we can add a title to the plot by clicking the Add a Title link above the plot window. To change the visual style of the line, we can click on the line in the plot to highlight it. Notice that the toolbar changes to plot mode when we are editing plot styling. In plot mode, we can choose the data series that we are editing, and we have a number of options to update the visual style of the line. We can change the data point size, which is not applicable for this type, change the line thickness, the line style, even the line color. Additionally, we can change the label here as well, assign the plot to a secondary axis, or rotate the entire plot. We can also add more than one line to the plot. Again, expand our inputs and click the Add Another Item link to add another plot item to this plot. Swift Calcs will let you mix and match plot types, but for now we will add another function. Let's plot something simple, like y equals x. You'll notice I immediately get a message, incompatible x-axis and y-axis units. I'll go ahead and add x-axis units of time. However, my y-axis units will still not match. To resolve this, I'll select the y equals x line and apply it to a secondary axis. The plot immediately recalculates and the error is removed with a new axis to the right of the plot used for the y equals x expression. I will add a label to help. Note that the units on this axis, seconds, are automatically calculated from our inputs. Now let's try to create a plot with data. Let's create a new plot, and this time use the drop-down to select the line plot. I'll add some sample data. We can also add a second data plot. For this one, we will choose the scatter plot type, and I will again add some sample data for this plot. The scatter plot has been added to the plot. However, it is a bit hard to see. To rectify this, I will click the legend item for this data set, increase the marker size, and change its color. With data plots, we have a number of display choices. When a line is included, I can enable spline mode, which will make the line more continuous between points. There are also a number of chart types between area plots, stacked line, stacked area, and scatter plots. Stacked plots allow for our data series to be additively stacked when shown. Let's go ahead and change both of our plots to area plots. Notice that these plots are on top of each other. If I change them to stacked plots, they are shown additively instead. Note that I can also change the plot type directly from the input area as well. And I can even combine stacked area and line plots together on one plot. We can also change to other chart types. Let's update the second data set to a bar graph. You can see that our data series is plotted directly with the bar graph. If we want to add labels for each bar, we can do that from the x-axis options. We can change the first data series to a bar chart as well to show them on the same axis. If we prefer a stacked chart, that is also available. Let's stack this chart and show it on a rotated axis with different colors. We can also create parametric plots in Swift Calcs. With a parametric plot, you provide two expressions that provide the x and y values for the plot based on a third independent variable, which is, by default, t. Let's plot sine of t and cosine of t for our x and y values for t from 0 to 2 pi with a step size of pi over 180. Finally, Swift Calcs can create histograms as well. To create your histogram, add your data to be plotted as well as the number of bins that you wish to use. Swift Calcs will automatically do the statistics on your dataset, bin them together, and provide the plot. The y-axis will be the frequency of occurrences for each bin. Join us in our next lesson, where we will dive into using vectors and matrices in Swift Calcs.